The most important competition you will ever face is not with someone else. It's with the person you see in the mirror each morning. Success comes when you win the battle against yourself, your doubts, your fears, your excuses, and your bad habits. This battle never ends, but with each victory, you grow stronger. I want to tell you something that might change your life. You have untapped potential inside you right now. Most people use only a small part of their abilities. They settle for less than they can be. They think small, they act small. But you are not most people. You are reading this because you want more, you want to be better. And that starts with understanding that your biggest opponent is yourself. Think about the last time you wanted to do something but didn't. Maybe you wanted to start a business, lose weight, learn a skill, or speak in public. What stopped you? Was it another person? Or was it that voice inside your head saying, you can't do this, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you'll fail? That voice is your real enemy. That voice keeps you small. That voice stops you from becoming who you could be. And the only way to silence that voice is to prove it wrong, one step at a time, one day at a time. The most successful people don't compete with others. They compete with themselves. They ask, how can I be better today than I was yesterday? They don't look left or right to see what others are doing. They look straight ahead at their goals, and they work to beat their own best efforts. Let me tell you about the battle that matters most. The battle between who you are and who you could become. We all have two sides fighting inside us. One side pulls us toward comfort, ease, and instant satisfaction. It wants us to stay in bed when the alarm goes off. It wants us to eat the cake when we're trying to get healthy. It wants us to watch another episode instead of working on our dreams. The other side pulls us toward growth, achievement, and long-term success. It wants us to push past our limits. It wants us to do the hard things that most people avoid. It wants us to become the best version of ourselves. Every day, these two sides battle for control of your life. Every choice you make is a victory for one side or the other. And here's the truth. The side that wins most often will shape your future. Most people let the easy side win too often. They follow the path of least resistance. They do what feels good now, not what will make them proud later. And they wonder why they feel stuck, unfulfilled, and unhappy with their results. But you can choose differently. You can choose to face yourself honestly. You can look at your weaknesses without making excuses. You can admit where you're falling short. This takes courage because looking at our flaws isn't fun. But this honest self-awareness is the first step to real change. What habits are holding me back? What skills do I need to develop? Where am I not giving my best effort? These questions might make you uncomfortable, but your growth happens at the edge of comfort. I've talked with thousands of successful people over my career. They share one common trait. They know themselves well. They don't lie to themselves. They face their weaknesses head on and work to overcome them. They identify their strengths and build on them. They don't blame others for their shortcomings. They take full ownership. This kind of clear self-awareness is rare. Most people prefer comforting lies over uncomfortable truths. They blame their boss, the economy, bad luck, or other people for their problems. But successful people look in the mirror and say, the quality of my life depends on me. Self-awareness means knowing your values and living by them. It means understanding what truly matters to you, not what others think should matter. When you know your core values, you make decisions that align with who you want to be. This creates integrity and inner peace. The greatest battle you'll ever fight is against your comfort zone. Your comfort zone feels safe. It feels familiar. It doesn't demand anything from you, but it's actually a prison disguised as protection. Inside your comfort zone, growth stops, learning stops, progress stops, life becomes predictable and dull. And slowly, without even noticing, you start to feel restless, unfulfilled, and stuck. Think about this. Everything you want, greater success, better health, stronger relationships, more wealth, exists outside your comfort zone. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with things that make you uncomfortable. The most successful people regularly do things that make them uncomfortable. They feel the fear and act anyway. While average people avoid discomfort, successful people use it as a compass pointing toward growth. The more comfortable you become with being uncomfortable, the more successful you'll be. Start doing one thing each day that challenges you. Make discomfort your friend. Your comfort zone will fight to keep you inside. It will create excuses, fears, and doubts. It will tell you to play it safe, and is convincing because it knows exactly which buttons to push. But remember this, and you step outside your comfort zone and survive, which you always will. It expands. What once seemed impossible becomes merely difficult. What was difficult becomes routine. This is how growth happens. Most people set their standards by looking around at what others are doing. They aim to be a little better than average, but average is a crowded place with lots of competition and little reward. Instead, set your standards based on your potential, not on what others are doing. Ask yourself, what am I capable of if I gave my absolute best? What could I accomplish if I used every ounce of my ability? Your standards determine your results. If you expect little from yourself, you'll get little. If you tolerate mediocrity in your work, mediocrity is what you'll produce. If you accept excuses from yourself, you'll always have a ready supply of them. But if you raise your standards, if you expect excellence from yourself in everything you do, you'll find ways to deliver excellence. If you refuse to accept anything less than your best, you'll surprise yourself with what you can achieve. There's a powerful exercise. Think about an area of your life where you're not getting the results you want. It could be your health, your work, your relationships, or your finances. Now ask yourself, what standards am I currently accepting in this area? Be brutally honest. If you don't like what you see, decide right now to raise your standards. Decide what you will no longer accept from yourself. Decide what you will now expect from yourself. Then act accordingly. Remember, your standards aren't what you say they are. Your standards are what you actually accept and live with. Look at your current results to see your true standards. The moment you raise your standards, you enter a new contest with yourself, the old you against the new you, and this battle will test your commitment. It will reveal what you truly want. One of the biggest differences between successful people and average people is their level of personal responsibility. Successful people understand a fundamental truth. You are responsible for your life. This might sound simple, but it's revolutionary. When fully embraced, it means that your current situation, good or bad, is primarily the result of your choices, not your circumstances, not other people. Not bad luck, your choices. When you take 100% responsibility for your life, everything changes. You stop blaming others, you stop making excuses, you stop waiting for someone to rescue you or solve your problems. What can I do about this? How can I improve my situation? What actions can I take today? This mindset is empowering because it puts you in control. When you blame others, you give away your power to change things. When you take responsibility, you take back that power. Think about areas in your life where you might be blaming others or circumstances. Maybe you're blaming your boss for your lack of career progress. Maybe you're blaming the economy for your financial situation. Maybe you're blaming your upbringing for your emotional habits. Now imagine what would change if you took full responsibility in these areas. How would your actions differ? What would you do differently? Taking responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself or beating yourself up. It simply means acknowledging that you have the power to respond to any situation. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. This is where the battle with yourself becomes most clear. Part of you wants to blame others when things go wrong. Part of you wants to make excuses. Part of you wants to play the victim. But another part knows the truth, that your life is shaped by your responses, not your circumstances. Choose responsibility over blame. Choose action over complaint. Choose solutions over excuses. This is how you win the battle against your lower self. Self-doubt is the great enemy of achievement. It whispers in your ear that you're not enough. It reminds you of past failures. It paints vivid pictures of everything that could go wrong, and it's very convincing because it comes from within. Everyone experiences self-doubt, even the most successful people. The difference is in how they respond to it. Average people listen to their doubts and let those doubts direct their actions. Successful people feel the same doubts but act despite them. Self-doubt is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. Often, it's a sign that you're pushing beyond your comfort zone into new territory. It's a sign of growth, not failure. I once worked with a woman who wanted to start her own business for years. Every time she came close to taking action, self-doubt would overwhelm her. What if I fail? What if I lose my money? What if people laugh at me? But one day she decided to ask different questions. What if I succeed? What if this works better than I expect? What if I regret never trying? These new questions changed everything. She started her business, and while it wasn't always easy, she built it into something successful. The doubts never disappeared completely, but she learned to act despite them. Your doubts speak loudest when you're about to do something important. They're like guards at the gate of your comfort zone, trying to keep you safely inside. But everything you want exists outside that zone. Think about the areas where self-doubt holds you back. Maybe you doubt your ability to speak in public, to start a business, to achieve your financial goals, or to improve your health. What would change if you acted as if these doubts were just thoughts, not truths? The best way to overcome self-doubt is through action. Every time you do something despite your doubts, you prove those doubts wrong. You build evidence that you're more capable than you thought. This creates an upward spiral of confidence and achievement. Another powerful strategy is to separate yourself from your thoughts. Your doubts are not you. They're just thoughts passing through your mind. You can observe them without accepting them. You can acknowledge them without being controlled by them. Think of your mind as a busy street with cars' thoughts constantly passing by. You don't have to jump into every car that comes along. You can stand on the sidewalk and watch them go by. When a doubt appears, simply notices. There's that thought again about not being good. Then let it pass without getting in and going for a ride. Many successful people use a technique I call doubt dilution. When self-doubt arises, they immediately counter it with evidence of their capabilities. They remind themselves of past successes, skills they've developed, obstacles they've overcome. This doesn't eliminate the doubt, but it reduces its power by putting it in proper perspective. Remember that doubt and fear are natural human experiences. They're not signs of weakness. They're simply your brain's way of trying to protect you from perceived risks. Thank your brain for trying to keep you safe, then gently remind yourself that growth requires risk. The battle against self-doubt never ends completely. Even at high levels of success, new doubts arise with new challenges, but with each victory over doubt, you become stronger and more resilient. You learn to trust yourself more than your fears. Your daily habits will make or break your success. Small actions repeated consistently shape your future more than occasional big efforts. If you read just 10 pages of a good book every day, you read about 3,650 pages per year. That's about 12 to 15 books. In 5 years, you'll have read 60 to 75 books, putting you ahead of 95% of the population in knowledge acquisition. If you save a small amount of money consistently, it grows into significant wealth over time through compound interest. If you exercise for just 30 minutes daily, your health transforms within months. Success isn't about single heroic efforts. It's about simple disciplines practiced every day. These daily disciplines separate the successful from the unsuccessful. The challenge is that these disciplines don't provide immediate gratification. When you read a book today, you don't immediately become smarter. When you exercise today, you don't immediately get fit. When you work on your business today, you don't immediately become wealthy. The results come later, often much later. This delayed gratification is why most people struggle with daily disciplines. They want instant results in an age of instant everything. But here's where you can win the battle against yourself. Part of you wants immediate pleasure, to watch another TV show, to scroll through social media, to eat the junk food. Another part knows that your future depends on your daily choices. Start by identifying the key disciplines in your field. What are the daily actions that would most improve your results? For a salesperson, it might be making a certain number of calls. For a writer, it might be writing a specific number of words. For an entrepreneur, it might be talking to customers. Then commit to these disciplines, regardless of mood or circumstances. Do them on good days and bad days. Do them when you feel like it and when you don't. Do them when you're seeing results and when you're not. Consistency beats intensity. It's better to walk for 30 minutes every day than to run for 3 hours once a month. It's better to work on your goals for 1 hour daily than to spend an entire weekend once a quarter. Your daily disciplines create your destiny. Choose them wisely, then follow them religiously. Everyone fails. Everyone faces setbacks. Everyone experiences rejection and disappointment. These experiences aren't unique to you. They're universal human experiences. What's not universal is how people respond to these challenges. Average people let failure defeat them. They take it personally. They see it as evidence of their limitations. They use it as an excuse to give up on their dreams. Successful people see failure differently. They view it as feedback, not as a final verdict on their abilities or worth. They extract the lessons, adjust their approach, and try again with better information. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing a working light bulb. When asked about these failures, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This mindset turns failure from an ending into a stepping stone. Look at your own relationship with failure. Do you avoid situations where you might fail? Do you beat yourself up when things don't work out? Do you give up after setbacks? These responses keep you stuck. Instead, develop a new relationship with failure. First, expect it. Know that failure is part of any worthwhile pursuit. It's not a surprise or a tragedy. It's a normal part of the process. Second, depersonalize it. Failure is an event, not a person. You are not a failure because you failed at something. You're a learner who gained valuable information. Third, analyze it objectively. Like, what can I learn from this? What would I do differently next time? What does this teach me about my approach? Fourth, try again with adjustments. Persistence isn't doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results. It's making informed adjustments based on feedback, then try again with a better approach. The greatest battle you'll fight is the temptation to give up when things get hard. Part of you will always look for the easy way out, the path of least resistance. Another part knows that anything worth achieving requires persistence through difficulties. When you persist through failure, you develop grit, the quality that researchers now recognize as one of the best predictors of long-term success. Grit isn't flashy or exciting. It's simply the ability to stick with things when they get hard. Clear goals are the foundation of achievement. Without specific targets, you'll drift through life reacting to whatever comes your way. With clear goals, you direct your energy toward what matters most to you. Most people have vague wishes, not clear goals. They say things like, I want to be successful or I want to be happy. These statements are too general to be useful. They don't provide direction or focus. Effective goals have several key characteristics. They're specific and measurable. Instead of, I want to be healthier, a good goal would be, I want to exercise for 30 minutes, 5 days per week and reduce my body fat percentage to 18. They're written down. Writing creates clarity and commitment. It transforms vague ideas into concrete targets. The simple act of writing your goals increases your likelihood of achieving them. They have deadlines. Open-ended goals tend to remain unfulfilled. Deadlines create urgency and focus. They turn dreams into projects with completion dates. They're challenging but achievable. Goals should stretch you beyond your comfort zone, but remain within the realm of possibility, given your resources and timeline. They're broken down into actionable steps. Big goals can feel overwhelming. Breaking them into smaller steps creates a clear path forward and allows you to experience progress along the way. Goals direct your focus in a world full of distractions. When you know exactly what you want, you can more easily identify what deserves your time and energy and what doesn't. You can say no to opportunities that don't align with your objectives. But goals alone aren't enough. You must review them regularly to keep them top of mind. Many successful people read their goals every morning and evening, visualizing their achievement and recommitting to the necessary actions. The battle between who you are and who you could become plays out most clearly in how you set and pursue goals. Part of you wants comfort and safety, goals that don't challenge you too much. Another part wants growth and achievement, goals that stretch you to new levels. Choose challenging goals. Choose goals that excite you when you think about achieving them. Choose goals that require you to become more than you currently are. Then work on these goals daily, regardless of mood or circumstances. This consistent action despite challenges is how you win the most important competition, you versus you. Your mind is like a muscle. It grows stronger with use and weakens with neglect. Mental fitness determines how you respond to challenges, setbacks, and opportunities. Many people spend hours on physical fitness while neglecting their mental fitness. They let thoughts run wild and allow negative patterns to dominate their inner world. Building mental fitness starts with awareness. Notice your thought patterns without judgment. Are they predominantly positive or negative, empowering or limiting? Once aware of your patterns, you can shape them intentionally. This doesn't mean ignoring problems, but approaching challenges constructively rather than defeatistically. Several practices can strengthen your mental fitness. Positive self-talk is crucial. The way you speak to yourself shapes your beliefs and actions. Replace "I can't do this" with "this is challenging, but I'm figuring it out." Visualization helps program your mind for success. Spend time visualizing yourself achieving your goals. Your brain doesn't always distinguish between vivid imagination and actual experience. Mindfulness keeps you present and focused. Much of our stress comes from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Continuous learning keeps your mind sharp and adaptable. Read books, take courses, and expose yourself to new ideas. In a rapidly changing world, learning is essential for success. Mental fitness isn't about eliminating negative thoughts, but managing them effectively. It's about choosing your response rather than reacting automatically. The battle between your current self and your potential self is fought in your mind. Your thoughts shape your beliefs, which shape your actions, which shape your results. Success is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It requires patience, consistent effort, and a long-term perspective. In an age of instant gratification, this long game approach is increasingly rare and increasingly valuable. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a year and underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years. They want immediate results, and when those don't materialize quickly enough, they give up or change direction. I remember meeting a young man who wanted to build an online business. He worked hard for 3 months, saw little progress, and quit. It doesn't work, he told me. 2 years later, I met someone else with a similar idea who stuck with it through the slow early months. By year 3, his business was thriving. The difference wasn't talent or opportunity. It was persistence through the plateau of results. But the most meaningful achievements take time. Building a successful business, developing expertise in your field, creating wealth, building strong relationships. These outcomes rarely happen quickly. They emerge from thousands of small actions taken consistently over time. Think about bamboo farmers. They plant seeds and water them daily, yet nothing visible happens for 4 years. Not a single shoot breaks through the soil. It would be easy to assume nothing is happening and give up. But in the 5th year, the bamboo suddenly grows 90 feet in just 6 weeks. Was this sudden growth? No. For 4 years, the bamboo was building an elaborate root system that would support its rapid growth. Your life works the same way. Often, you're building roots while seeing no visible progress. These periods test your commitment. Most people quit during these apparent plateaus, not realizing they might be just days or weeks away from a breakthrough. The battle between your impatient self and your patient self is crucial. Part of you wants results now and will abandon ship when progress seems slow. Another part understands that compound growth leads to extraordinary outcomes if you stay the course. Adopting a long game mindset means several things. First, it means focusing on systems rather than goals alone. Goals tell you where you're going. Systems determine how you'll get there. Good systems produce good results over time, regardless of short-term fluctuations. Second, it means measuring progress differently. Instead of asking, have I achieved my goal yet? Ask, am I better than I was last month, last year? Small improvements compound dramatically over time. Third, it means valuing consistency over intensity. Showing up regularly, even on days when you don't feel like it, produces better long-term results than occasional bursts of intense effort followed by neglect. Fourth, it means making decisions based on long-term benefits rather than short-term comfort. This applies to your health, finances, relationships, and career. Ask yourself, what would my future self want me to do right now? The most successful people are willing to do things today that others won't do, so they can enjoy things tomorrow that others won't have. They delay gratification. They invest time and energy up front for future rewards. They play the long game. Every day, you compete with yourself. Every choice either moves you toward your potential or keeps you where you are. This battle never ends, but with each victory, you grow stronger. Your life today is the result of your past choices. Your life tomorrow will be the result of your choices today. This simple truth places tremendous power in your hands. I once asked a room full of successful entrepreneurs what they believed was the secret to their success. Their answers varied widely until one person said something that made everyone nod in agreement. I made a decision to become the kind of person who could achieve my goals, not just to pursue the goals themselves. This mindset shift changes everything. When you focus on becoming the person who deserves success, the success itself follows naturally. Look at yourself honestly. Where are you settling for less than you could be? Where are you allowing bad habits to continue? Where are you making excuses instead of making progress? Growth begins at the edge of comfort. There's a voice inside you that knows what you need to do. It whispers when everyone else is shouting. It speaks truth when others offer comfortable lies. The more you listen to this voice, the stronger it becomes. The more you ignore it, the fainter it grows. Your potential far exceeds your current reality. Most people use only a small fraction of their capabilities. They become only a pale version of what they could become. Don't be most people. Compete with yourself. Push yourself. Demand more from yourself than others would ever demand from you. When you feel tired, do one more rep. When you want to quit, stay 5 more minutes. When you face rejection, try one more time. These small moments of choosing your higher self over your lower self transform your life. The true battleground is internal. It's choosing growth over comfort, truth over denial, responsibility over blame. Each better choice wins a victory in the most important contest of your life. The person you become on your journey matters more than any external achievements. external success without internal growth leads to emptiness. True fulfillment comes from becoming the best version of yourself, regardless of the external outcomes. Start today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. Right now, take one action, however small, that pushes you beyond your comfort zone. Then take another and another. These small steps taken consistently will carry you toward your potential. The greatest battle you'll ever fight is against your own limitations, real and imagined. Win that battle, and no external obstacle can stop you for long. Lose that battle, and no external advantage can save you. Choose to compete with yourself, not others. Choose to focus on your progress, not your position. Choose to measure yourself against your potential, not against other people's achievements. In the end, the only competition that truly matters is you versus you. Win that competition, and you win everything that matters.